A few months ago, Sony announced the BURANO, their latest addition to their cinema lineup that marries 8.6K resolution, 16 stops of dynamic range, and 16-bit XOCN RAW recording of their Venice series cameras with the conveniences like autofocus, electronic variable ND, and image stabilization of Sony's FX series cameras. Now that the BURANO is starting to ship, we got our hands on one of Sony's production-ready demo units for a hands-on review to put the camera through its paces and see where it fits in Sony's lineup of cinema cameras. Let's start off by comparing it to its big brother, the Venice 2. Given that the name BURANO is derived from an island in Venice, it's no surprise that they share similar specs and capabilities. Both cameras feature 8.6K full-frame sensors capable of up to 16 stops of dynamic range and dual-base ISO at 800 and 3200. When shooting at the native ISO, you will have 6 stops of latitude in the highlights and 10 stops in the shadows. However, the aspect ratios of the sensors and the recording resolutions differ. The Venice has a 3x2 sensor and can shoot open gate. As a result, the Venice is far more adept at working with anamorphic lenses since it can shoot in a 3x2 aspect ratio using the full sensor height and width. The Venice also features anamorphic sensor modes for shooting in 4x3 and 6x5 aspect ratios. The BURANO is capable of de-squeezing 1.3 and 2x anamorphic in camera, but it doesn't seem to be the focus of the camera given that the sensor is optimized for 16 and 17:9 aspect ratios, and it doesn't feature any dedicated anamorphic sensor modes at this time. The BURANO and Venice also share the XOCN RAW codec, giving colorists a ton of room for creativity with its 16-bit RAW workflow. Even though the BURANO only offers XOCN LT, don't be fooled into thinking that its RAW workflow is handicapped. XOCN LT is still 16-bit and offers a ton of room in post-production to color grade your images. And let's not forget that the BURANO and Venice ship with both PL and locking E mounts, making it possible to use these cameras with almost any non-mirrorless lens you can think of. The BURANO also takes a ton of inspiration from the FX series cameras. Naturally, the autofocus performance is stellar on this camera, as Sony has really nailed that down across all their cameras at this point. But what is intriguing is that the camera incorporates Sony's variable ND and in-body image stabilization. Normally you'd have to choose one or the other, but they re-engineered their variable ND system to offer both on the BURANO. The BURANO also features a side grip that is similar to the FX9 grip for shoulder-mounted operation and control over E-mount lenses. Moreover, there are a few features that are unique to the BURANO. The BURANO can record proxies to SD cards while recording XOCN RAW, features new XAVC-H codecs for recording 8K, and the camera records to VPG400 CF Express Type B cards that are commonly available. But most impressively, the BURANO has additional crop sensor modes that empower filmmakers to reduce the crop associated with shooting RAW at lower resolutions. Typically, when shooting RAW, there's no downsampling, meaning that the resolution will dictate your sensor coverage and crop factor. On the Venice 2, for example, when shooting with the full frame, you are locked into 8.6K. And if you prefer to shoot 5.8K, your only option is to crop into a Super 35 portion of the sensor. The BURANO offers a 6K full-frame crop sensor mode that allows you to shoot 6K with roughly a 1.07 crop factor. For studios, production houses, and filmmakers that want to shoot full frame but don't need 8.6K resolution, a 1.07 crop is a minor trade-off to effectively have your full frame sensor coverage and save on storage costs at the same time. At 5 3/4 by 5 5/8 by 8 5/8 inches and weighing 5 pounds, the camera was easy to operate by myself, whether using it on sticks or mounted on my shoulder. When shoulder mounted, it also helped that I had the new grip to go with the camera, as it gave me control over the 28 to 135mm lens and menu functions. We used the 28 to 135mm lens to take advantage of its power zoom feature, but we primarily relied on DZO's Vespid Retro PL mount lenses for this shoot. Performing a lens mount swap on location was extremely easy to do. Move the locking E-mount to the locked position, align the PL adapter on top of the E-mount, and screw it in. All in all, takes 2 minutes. The screws are captive to prevent them from falling out, which is extremely reassuring. However, I wish there was a cover for the electronic contacts. When removing the PL mount, there are contacts on the rear of the adapter and on the front of the camera that are exposed. These contacts facilitate Cook-Eye technology metadata with compatible lenses, so ideally we'd want to avoid touching or exposing them to the elements if possible. We shot almost all our footage in the 6K 16:9 full frame crop image sensor mode. This really helped rein in our data management. Normally, we'd shoot in the highest resolution possible when testing cameras, but the strength of the Burano is its efficiency. Shooting 6K is more than enough to get beautiful results for our 4K video. Thus, it made more sense to shoot in 6K and save roughly 30% on our data rate. We shot just under 29 minutes of 6K footage, and it resulted in 194 gigabytes of data. Had we gone with 8.6K, that would have been 276 gigabytes of data. I got through most of the shoot on a 256 gigabyte card, but ran over when I shot a few clips in the full 8.6K resolution. And to give you some perspective on the difference in field of view, here's what you get when you shoot in 8.6K, and here's your field of view when you shoot in 6K. In post-production, we found the X-OCN codec played back smoothly in DaVinci Resolve. I edited this video on a 2020 iMac with a 10-core Intel CPU, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and AMD processor with 16 gigabytes of dedicated RAM, and the footage played back flawlessly. In DaVinci Resolve, you have all the controls you'd expect from RAW. You can change the white balance, ISO, highlights, mid-tone detail, and more. 16-bit RAW offers a ton of room for creative grades, but for the purposes of this demo, we chose to keep it close to the standard Rec. 709 conversion. Let us know what you think. Most of the time, people avoid being in the middle. The middle is often bland or compromising, yet Sony manages to finesse the gap between their FX series and Venice cameras to make the Burano one of the most intriguing cameras in their cinema lineup. The Burano cannot replace the Venice cameras. If you plan to use anamorphic lenses or shoot at high frame rates, then the Venice cameras are better suited for the task because their sensors are optimized for anamorphic filmmaking and they support higher frame rates. But for anyone aiming to produce content for primetime television and streaming services, the Burano is an enticing option. Its 6K full frame crop mode allows end users to shoot full frame with less resolution. This results in fewer memory card swaps, less storage usage on your hard drives, and less computing power to work with the footage. The Burano is also smaller and lighter than the Venice, which means it's easier to stabilize, operate, and travel with. When compared to the FX series, the Burano is decisively above them, yet not above incorporating many of the features that make them popular, such as the variable ND, image stabilization, and the hand grip. In that sense, the Burano is also an excellent option for the high end of independent film and TV production, as it offers a lot of conveniences for filmmakers who don't have an entire camera department to support them. Thus, Sony's Burano owns its position between FX and Venice series cameras. It's a natural step up as an A camera for anyone who is familiar with Sony's FX series cameras, and the best B camera for anyone that already shoots with a Venice. What are your thoughts on Sony's Burano 8K digital motion picture camera? Do you foresee your favorite TV shows incorporating the Burano on set? Let us know in the comments below. I'm Jabari with B&H. Have a fun day.